This video contains commentary. Long time no see, my little doodligans! Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite motherfucking Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today I guarantee this video will never see the light of day in monetization land because there's gonna be, well, the title itself is a hello. We're getting into some r/FuckHOA, so without further ado, smash that subscribe button, sit back, and let's get right into it. Damn it, it actually happened to me. Posted by user Grimster. I've said on here many times I would never, ever buy in an HOA. I have almost 4 acres, meets and bounds in the county with chickens, sometimes goats and pigs or other livestock. So my back 2 acres have grown over. No goats right now. And while I love blackberries, they're taking over. So I rented a skid steer this weekend and started clearing to the back of my property, something I haven't done in years. Well, the back of my property, there's a creek, not quite within the property lines for me, so I don't have access to it. And there is a typical planned subdivision. I'm sure with an HOA, dunno, don't care. That butts up to my property. Well, I'm happily knocking down trees and piling them along my property line, and one of the neighbors walks over through the woods and says, "You can't do that with that 200-foot easement." Excuse me? I have no fucking 200-foot easement. That would be half of my property I can't use. She insists there's a 200-foot easement for the creek. ROFL, what? That's usually 20 feet for creeks. So she brings over a copy of her deed. I've been here 16, almost 17 years now. I don't actually have a copy of my deed handy because why would I? Anyway, long story short, her property is 419 feet deep by about 120 feet wide, and yep, there is, in fact, a 200-foot easement for utility and drainage for her. My sister is a real estate agent, so I had her pull my deed up. Nope, no such easement for me. Good job buying a house that you can't use half of your property because it's all an easement. Dipshits. That's funny. I would never, ever, ever, ever buy a house that is part of an HOA. I'm sorry. Some people, you could say all you want about how they are good, and you know what? Some of them probably are, but who wants to take that chance, really? Not me. I don't like people telling me what to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm not gonna like people telling me what color I can paint my house, or where I can dig things on my own property. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like being told what to do. Alright, my dudes, before I get into the next story, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for future videos just like this one. This one is called Discriminatory HOA, posted by user unrighteous_dominion. I had my HOA tribunal this week to discuss my Airbnb as a business with customers, and thus being in violation of the covenants. There is no language in the covenants or bylaws prohibiting renting at all. It is not even addressed. It could not have gone worse. I stood my ground and had an answer for everything, but the mob mentality was so astounding. They did not want to hear the case law or build bridges. Minds were made up that I am in violation and I needed to stop my rental. At one point, a woman said, "I can see why your husband left you." I'm a single mother of 4 young children and a survivor of abusive marriage. At another point, a neighbor said, "There was a car driving on the road looking for your home and they pulled over and asked where it was. They had thick accents and dark skin." At another point, a neighbor said, "I don't want pipeline workers in my neighborhood staying here." I was also told that because I am not going to shut down my Airbnb, I am an uncaring neighbor who must be stopped by any means. Then they grasped at straws, saying I need to notify the health department, get a business license, stop advertising online, etc., etc., etc. All of the things have and were addressed. There were no real reasons given for why this is a problem, but given the comments, it seems to come from a place of discrimination. I live in an affluent area that is white conservative. Ironic if you think about how they should be defending private property rights according to their own ideology, but I digress. It ended with a vote to retain a lawyer to come after me to make me comply. I requested the HOA financials. They have $8,000 total in funds. So my question is, what do I do next? Oh, okay, let's see what some people say to this. Minimax34 says, tread lightly, continue to rent. Their lawyer may tell them there's nothing they can do. Make you comply with what? And then Jennifer Lopez 87 says, they will probably get a cease and desist order that bears no weight to their original agreement, HOA, so OP should still be in the clear to rent. Correct? Then OSU Brit says, pretty much, because the HOA will burn through $8,000 they've got before they'd be able to afford to do anything more substantial anyway. Then they'll back off. Or they'll spend $8,000 and get nowhere except for OP's lawyer telling them to go pound sand. Then they'll push on anyway and end up in massive debt, triggering special assessments to raise funds purely for this purpose, which then results in the sleeping dragon that is the majority of the HOA that don't give a fuck about this stuff waking up real fast to this nonsense and ejecting the board into space. Either way, OP is probably good, although they'll have to eat a few thousand in lawyers' fees. Which, yeah, that's the thing. Like, they might go through all that money, but guess what? Then they might start jacking up everybody's HOA fees and all that shit to make up for that. So, HOAs are fucking evil, man. Fuck! Why? Why do these things even exist? Like, oh my god, please try to justify HOAs to me in the comments below, please. I'm really curious to hear another perspective because it's not looking good, my dudes. It's just not. Alright, this next one is called Getting to the Bottom of This Mystery. Posted by user Southport_Strangler. So my folks live in Florida, where HOAs are a pain in the ass, but the elderly need them to keep the order. Recently, my mother has been complaining about the HOA in the condos, more than usual. Now, normally I'd brush this off as background noise as I have since they moved in, but she wouldn't drop whatever it is. A couple of weeks later, I found myself down in the great state of Florida, and she was going on about some of the issues in the community, like lawn care is behind, power was missing from some of the street lights, the pool was green, and the local park was full of hoodlums that sneak into the neighborhood. They had been living here for almost 10 years, and this kind of negligence from the HOA is new. I went down to the office where no one was, but I did get the date of the next HOA meeting, 06 March 2020 at 1600 hours, and plan on attending to see what the F is going on. Ooh, okay. Well, why post unless you're gonna have the resolution? Because chances are people aren't gonna come back to check on it. This is disappointing to me. I want to know what happens, but okay, yeah, well, but why would that go on for so long? Like the pool green, like what are you paying those fees for? You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be helping out the seniors. Am I wrong? Like, come on, that should be like, those type of HOAs should be the ones that are like on the ball. Not so much of the spoiled rich cunts that, have money flying out their wazoos, but, the seniors that can't do shit for themselves. That's why they need HOAs. But do they? I don't know. Fuck these people. Fuck HOAs is what I'm saying. I'm sure you've got that vibe from me so far in this video. Quit HOA. Home doubles in value. Posted by user GRRODON2. Disclaimer. Huge wall of text ahead. This is quite a long story, spanning through a period of a few years. I've taken some licenses for entertainment purposes and altered many details for privacy, but the facts are all there. TLDR in the title. Okay. About 20 years ago, my uncle bought an apartment in a new fancy condo. Each floor was separated in 2 apartments, except for the top floor, which was a single apartment more than double the size, with a private attic. All other units had storage area in the basement. He got the top floor. The building had a large common hall and a large yard all around it, so the owners decided to create an HOA to maintain the common areas and protect property value. My uncle has always been an independent man, so he wasn't keen on the idea, but he recognized it was necessary. However, He proposed an article in the statute allowing any member to proceed from the HOA by paying a contribution and entering a limited agreement. People under this contract would not be in the HOA, but would be required to contribute to common expenses, light, cleaning, administration, etc., and maintenance. Though in this case, the HOA was required to confront their respective quotes for the job before proceeding. Since the votes were based on service owned, and he thus had the swing vote, the rule was included in the statute. A couple of years go by without a hitch. The HOA works as planned. A couple more units are sold and everything is fine and dandy. Enter Karen. My uncle describes Karen as your worst high school teacher, with a resting bitch face like she was constantly smelling sewage. In reality, she was a plain woman in her 50s, dirty blonde, single, a pocket dog and 2 cats, with a mildly annoyed expression frozen on her face and the fashion sense of Dolores Umbridge. Although after starting reading Reddit posts, I'm having a hard time not superimposing the classic Karen hairstyle on her. She was one of the original owners, but never had much interaction with the others. The first time my uncle took any notice of her was when she tried to introduce a rule preventing children from playing in the common hall, because the rowdiness and prospective damage they could cause might decrease property value. My uncle didn't like participating in the meetings, and he didn't have kids, yet. But that time he intervened, saying that he'd rather have happy kids around, even if that meant losing a bit of value, and proposed creating an emergency fund for accidental damage instead. Karen was outvoted. While they were leaving the conference room, she threw a look at him, like she was about to breathe fire on him. He disliked and distrusted her from that moment on. Karen tried several times to pass more restrictive rules, but she kept getting outvoted, thanks to my uncle's double vote. But at the same time, she was doing something else. She was buying additional units and forcing her rules onto her tenants, including those regarding the common areas. So that meant that her tenants' kids couldn't play with the other kids in the common hall. For instance, that one was nearly impossible to enforce and led to complaints. Over time, thanks to her by now 4 votes, Karen got a seat in the HOA. That was an alarm bell for my uncle, who filed to leave the HOA as per his own article on the same day. And not a moment too soon, as that article was cancelled even before his request was processed. The HOA then initially denied his request, and he had to sue and go to arbitration to prove he had filed his request before the rule was expunged. But from that moment, he was free. Over the next couple of years, he had to go to arbitration twice more, once because the HOA demanded payment for a renovation without giving him the chance to present an alternative quote, and once because Karen and her newfound clique kept harassing him with fines he didn't have to pay. He won both times, and Karen was beyond hate. Every time they met each other, she looked at him with such a contempt, he actually started fearing for his safety. In this period, Karen's increasingly restrictive rules had caused a high turnover both of tenants and owners. Even if everything was still in pristine condition, Karen was very good at that. The HOA rules were a hard sell. This had decreased the value of the apartments a lot, and Karen used this to buy even more lots, ended up with 6 total. When my aunt got pregnant, they decided that the condo was not really kid-friendly anymore, so they decided to sell. As I mentioned, the property value had dropped in the recent years, but evidently not my uncle's apartment. When he put it on the market, he advertised as free from local HOA. He ended up selling it to one of the former residents for almost double the price per square foot than any other apartment in the building. Happy end? Wait, there's more. A couple weeks after moving, my uncle received a call from the very distraught new owners saying that members of the HOA are harassing him and that Karen was threatening to sue him because the HOA has a new rule that all new owners must sign up for the HOA. My uncle, verbatim. So, you're not part of the HOA. You don't need to give a shit about the rules they make. New owner. Pauses as he processes the information. They chatted a bit, and the new owner, after enduring for years, was quite happy about the prospect of fucking with Karen and the powerless HOA. The end. Edit, proofreading, updates, notes, and frequently asked questions. 1. How come the building didn't have a board already? Apparently, the company that built the condo had gone belly up sometime earlier with the building virtually complete, and the company that liquidated it wasn't really concerned with stuff like that, only recovering money fast. That left the buyers to manage the property by themselves, or they were delegated to do so. 2. User Benk4 in the comments suspects Karen had an evil plan all alone. Unethical life pro tip. Join a building with an HOA. Consolidate power and pass increasingly draconian rules until everyone wants out. Buy up the apartments at a discount as rats flee the ship. Once you own the whole building, dissolve the HOA and sell the units at a profit. That's a very interesting point of view. I'll ask whether she ended up buying even more units and update if I get an answer. Non-update. No, Karen didn't get any more lots. Underwhelming, I know. A bit of color note though. Due to the high turnover, not many people know about my uncles a while after they moved. All they knew was that the owner of the big apartment on the top floor, they tell me it's called a penthouse, was not subject to the HOA. In the time he lived there, a lot of rumors had him as some kind of big shot, either in politics or crime. That's funny. That's like... Yeah, you tell people like rumors about you when you leave somewhere, and then they're like, what the hell happened to that guy? Oh yeah, he was a mob boss or some shit, my dude. And the legend of OP's uncle lives on. Oh my god, that was a really long story, but it was definitely worth the read. Oh my god. So this is just a combination of the top posts of the week, top posts of the month, by the way. So you might have read some of these stories before, or you might have heard these stories before. There's not really that much that are posted in this subreddit, and people have been asking me to do this subreddit, so that's why I'm doing it. So I've got one more story for you guys, and this one is called My Potted Plant is a Violation? Posted by user Timothy J. Weiss. Last year at my townhouse in Washington State, I received a notice and a $50 fine from my HOA with a notice stating that I have potted plants on my cement front porch that need catch basins. The notice quoted Association Rule 4.5 as stating, potted plants on A and B unit porches and patios must be contained with a planter that has a water catch basin. They gave 4 days to comply or get further fines. I found the requirement absurd considering the porch is cement, not wood, and my small plant pots don't have a hole in the bottom for drainage. In addition, I noticed that they didn't state a requirement for what is commonly listed as a plant saucer in stores, but very specifically a water catch basin. In order to avoid more arbitrary fines, I looked the specific type up in stores and online with Amazon. It appears a water catch basin is actually a storm drainage conduit having nothing to do with potted plants. The cheapest online being $49. A picture from Amazon looks like this. So this is it right here. Fucking derps. The rule was written in such a way to allow the HOA to arbitrarily fine anyone for not having a specific impossible type specified in the rules. I decided it would be safer not to have any plants at all on my porch. My letter noting the problem with wording did not receive a response as usual. I've gone ahead and purchased the ugly storm drainage conduit kit and decided that I will lay it out on top of my porch this spring with a nice small potted plant sitting on top. A friend gave me the suggestion to hook a bright piece of PVC pipe to it leading to my yard to make it functional and therefore be in full compliance with their rule as written. Although I might change my mind for malicious compliance and buy a hot pink plastic or inflatable child's wading pool to set it in. Smiley face! Oh my god, that's fucking stupid. Like, if you're gonna write rules, at least know what the fuck you're talking about. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is just pretty sure HOAs were just... They're set up by people that just want to control every little thing. They're Kevins. They gotta be Kevins. Dude, that's it. I made up my mind. People that run HOAs like this are Kevins. I guarantee you that the name of the main guy on this HOA is Kevin. fight me. Prove me wrong. All right, my dudes, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of r/FudgeHOA. I know I did. It made me a little pissed off at some points, but it was still pretty fucking funny. Anyways, my dude, please smash that like button if you did enjoy this video. Let me know if you are. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on all notifications for future videos just like this one, because YouTube is not very nice these days, and they like to suppress my videos, especially when there's blatant curse words involved. So don't forget to subscribe. You'll need those notifications. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, the links to the stories, as always, will be in the description. So head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes, because you know they deserve it, my dudes. And that's all I got. So I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Peace out, my little dudes.